Welcome back to another episode of A Gift from Adversity. My name is Juri Love. I'm your host. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we're recording episode number 159. We're very close to 160, and I'm very excited to have today's guest. So let's invite him. Hi, Michael. Thank you very much for coming to A Gift from Adversity episode 159.
Hi, Juri. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Great. So can you tell our audience your name, where you're coming in from, and then what you do, and if you have any social media, anything that you want to promote?
Yes, definitely. My name is Michael. I reside in Chicago, Illinois, here in the US. I am currently the founder of a new movement called Solo Circle. It's a community built upon an app to help us feel confident, comfortable, and truly empowered in being single and doing things alone, and really embracing and exploring that part of our lives. Uh, I started building this movement along with building content. So you can find me on Instagram at solo, so SOLO_experiences. And then also, if you are interested in joining the community, joining the app, or the waitlist, you can go to solocircleapp.com. It's really been this exciting adventure, really resonating with a lot of people that are figuring out this new portion of their life of being single and being alone and how to embrace it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your platform. And then you have a lot of followers. How many followers do you have now?
I think I just hit 68, so 68,000. Really started slow and then, just kind of had fun with it. And a lot of people just started resonating, started sharing, and yeah, I really don't know how people just are coming together, but it's great.
When you started this platform, did you think that it's going to grow so much and then have so much support?
No, honestly, I had no idea. I kind of started just posting content to kind of get out of my own element, try a new skill and truly promote this movement of this idea that I came up with. I had no idea it would resonate, that people would want to join and ask questions. And my favorite part is a lot of people just kind of spiel their stories in our comments. So it's not just a lot of likes and stuff. People will just go on there and say, "Hey, I've been single for this long and doing this," and then people will reply. So it's really this community that has been built on my social media, and it's just been amazing.
And you have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or just Instagram?
I do Instagram and I do TikTok as well. I post more frequently on Instagram, and I'm a little bit more involved with replying to all the comments and all the messages there. I really try to literally look at every comment, look at every instant message because it is so important to get that feedback, to get what people are talking about involved. I still am on TikTok every day, but a little bit more on Instagram.
Got it. One more time, your Instagram handle.
Yeah, so it's solo_experiences.
Solo_experiences. So people, please follow. Michael has massive followers, but he can use more, and then also you can share the comments. Before we dive into the first question, I just want to ask the comments and then people's feedback that you're getting from, would you say it's mostly from America or across the globe?
Honestly, it's very across the globe. I assumed being from Chicago, I post a lot with kind of maybe Chicago in the background. It would be, in Chicago or just the US, but I get a lot of involvement and followers from all over. Like, um, get some from South Africa, some from Ireland the other day, multiple people from Germany. It's just literally all over.
That's impressive how the social media grow and then the message, the simple message that you have. Um, what is the main message of your platform?
Yeah, I'm really looking to change the narrative that kind of society has around the pressures of being single or being alone, that maybe you're behind or you're doing something wrong or you need to find a partner to really enjoy life. So I want to change that narrative to you don't have to wait till you're in that perfect relationship to have a fulfilling life, and maybe use this time of being single, of being alone, to really choose yourself, fulfill what you want out of life, whether that's traveling or a new passion or a new career or new place you want to be in life. Um, I always say being single is not a waiting room, it's a chance to really choose yourself and fulfill your point of life.
Well, thank you very much. I really love your content and appreciate your, especially a director too and a producer. I especially like the overhead shot that you have. I don't know how you're filming yourself. Do you have like a GoPro or something?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. Everyone seems to like that shot. I just started doing that shot a little bit, and everyone just resonates with that shot so much that I do it a little bit too often now. I use it's a DJI. It's like a osmosis pocket, they believe they call it. So you just DJI osmosis and then pocket, and it will come up. I think it's on Amazon or anywhere else. It's a great, it has like a little tripod with it, and it has a gimbal. So the gimbal kind of turns how you would like it to be shot. And it really has a great resolution. So I can really just pick it up with kind of any lighting. I do try to do my content at the same time every day, so I get a lot of natural light, but it really picks up on lighting well.
Is that gimbal? DJI gimbal? I have it too. And then I've never thought about doing the overhead shot like that. So you put it over here. Everybody has to follow his Instagram. It's just so really well put together, and then the message is very good and then consistent. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, behind the scene technique too. And let's dive into the first question that I have on this platform. Before I dive into it, I absolutely forgot. Usually, I do the introduction, why I started this platform. Basically, I published a book. It's called A Gift from Adversity, and then it's on Amazon, and it's about my life growing up in Japan, being sexually abused by my dad and two uncles, and then suffered with PTSD, understanding of mental health, not understanding it until age 22. And I came to America, but prior to that, I was homeless. I was in Japan. And so it's a lot of sadness in the book, but at the same time, there's a lot of tools and then empowerment portion of it on my book. Now, when I published my book, that kind of traveled and then took its own life. And I got a lot of messages from like you, um, from Texas, from Nigeria, different places about like Virginia, and then people who read my book messaged me, and I felt compelled to open up the dialogue about the adversity, but not only that, but the tools that people use to overcome, and then the gift that came from it, and then to make a platform that's safe, and then also be able to learn from each other's. And then now it's 159 episodes and guests are from all over the world. So I really thank you for um, coming to the podcast and willing to share. So let's dive into the first question. So, Michael, can you tell us what was your adversity that you can share with us?
Yeah, so my adversity came along when I was single for a little longer than I thought I wanted to be. Uh, Being single for a short time always feels comfortable because you're saying, "Oh, I'll just get back in a new relationship or find that next one." But it was about 3 years, and as you get older, you just start thinking in your head of, okay, all these other people have gotten married, have families coming along. So you really start getting down on yourself of what's wrong with me? What am I doing that's not, able to find another partner? And so that really just became this kind of belief that started to chip away at my confidence of the longer and longer I was single, the more and more it was scary that I was doing something wrong.
So what age do you say that thoughts came? And then did you have a long-term relationship prior to becoming single?
Yes, I had a probably a very nice long term relationship right before COVID, and then another long term relationship right after 2020 for a few years. And then in my 30s, mid 30s, I feel like is really, kind of hard and so on. Because you're like, okay, everyone's, that's the time to settle down. That's the time to have kids. That's the time to kind of figure out your life. And so after two long-term relationships, being single long-term after that made me kind of definitely get scared.
May I ask how old you are right now?
Sure. I just turned 38. So yeah, I've been single for a little over 3 years now.
So now let's talk about the relationship. So you said you had a long relationship. What went kind of sour or wrong and then got ended? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say there wasn't anything too wrong with it or toxic about it. I just feel the timing wasn't right. We weren't each other's people. And through that, kind of started to make me realize maybe I wasn't the person I needed to be either. So there's always that scary of, okay, if I'm not happy, how am I going to find someone else and make them happy? So I think that was the kind of first realization of my last big relationship. There wasn't anything, hugely wrong that went that was toxic or sour. It was just something of we weren't the right people for each other, and maybe I wasn't the right person for myself.
So you ended it or she ended it?
I would say it was mutual.
Mutual.
Yeah.
Got it. How about do you recall when you were a teenager or high school?
Yeah, I think teenager probably I was more of a late bloomer when it come to relationships. I really didn't start dating till I was about 19. So I think I was maybe a little bit late to the game, eager to catch up, eager to figure out, what I've been missing maybe. So I don't know if that kind of created a spiral effect of I just did it too quickly and was trying to push it along and be too aggressive with, oh, this is the one, or this is the love of my life, or this is the perfect relationship without kind of finding out what I truly wanted out of a relationship.
When you were earlier you mentioned about the pressure, the society pressure of being single, and when you were in high school or even college, when you didn't have maybe girlfriend in the middle school, high school, did you have that kind of pressure? Do you remember?
Sure. I feel like there's more, I wouldn't say lots of pressure then, but there's more of kind of the notion from maybe your parents, or even your high school buddies or, guy friends or girlfriends or whatever of, you should find someone to like, or you should find someone to date, you should find someone to marry. Obviously your parents kind of back in the day usually wanted you to get married earlier, and it's kind of gotten past that point. But I think when I was like starting to approach 17, 18, I think it was on my parents of like, oh, you should find a girlfriend, settle down, get married, because that's kind of the age they were getting involved with that.
Do you remember feeling a little bit less than because you were single back then?
Yes, definitely. I would say so. the fact that, yeah, I didn't have a, great high school romantic sweetheart to say, was definitely kind of, you know, a hurt to me.
I see. So I know you are really advocate of being single, but now your age and then our friends around you, what kind of maybe judgment or maybe comment that you hear that maybe is not nice?
Um, I mean, I don't know if there's anything too like intense about like certain comments, but there is that kind of when you mention you're single, a lot of people kind of give you that face of, well, okay, you'll be okay, or you'll figure it out, or this and that, or I can set you up with someone, or there's a lot of that kind of help, or the kind of it's never, oh, that's great, good for you. How are you enjoying being single? So I feel like we just really need to change that aspect of everyone else trying to fix it or trying to support you maybe, but maybe you should just support it okay being single and you kind of figuring it out on your own.
Yes, I see. Now, Michael, I have a question. I've been thinking about this podcast, and I feel that a lot of times, like in Japan, I just want to share with you, like say for instance, my aunt wasn't allowed to go to high school. As a woman in Japan, we have a mission to serve men. And then there is a word called devotion, tsukusu. So you are finding a happiness by me cleaning your room, me doing your laundry, cooking, waiting. It is a lot of work as women, but we don't feel it because I've never been culturally exposed until I came to America. Men never holds door for you. It's called danson johi, which means men respected and women disrespected. And
Mm,
then it's just the culture. I can never walk in front of men. In fact, I was dating somebody who's black, and then he was so uncomfortable that I'm always behind him. And
mm,
he pushed me one time to walk in front of him, and I just felt very uncomfortable. My mom, when my first husband came to Japan for wedding, was offered to go first in the elevator from my husband's father. She would not move. She would
mm,
not move from elevator, causing the traffic. So we have this huge pressure as a woman, Japanese woman, to, like you said, marry, find partner. That's like the mission of our life, have kids. Now we have this word batsuichi, which means like a cross one when you get divorced. So I'm cross too because I got divorced twice. So if I ever go to Japan now, I'm a miserable failure
mm,
and not worthy woman. But in America, nobody seemed to really down on me like that, and then like say, "Hey, you're like X2, and then like you're a failure, like what are you doing?" Instead, I get like a lot of support as a single mom, and then my career as a journalist and filmmaker. Nobody seemed to say anything that I'm single or I am divorced, which definitely would never ever happen if I was in Japan. So it's propaganda, it's cultural pressure, it's a socio-economic status that you have. I don't know. I worked at the wedding venue, and a lot of times I'm thinking this $100,000 that they spend on a wedding, that there's 62% of divorce rate in America.
mm,
So out of 10 couple, statistically, the six will divorce within 3 years or 5 years. So I don't know what is the pressure. Each culture and country, especially Middle Eastern country, especially African country, Asia, like we have a lot worse pressure than being in America. In America, yes, you guys do, but for certain countries, it's absolutely we are not worthy as a female. So, what do you say of this stigma across the globe? And then you told me that you get comments from South Africa or Germany. Like, what do you say across the globe of this? Where is it coming from that you have to find somebody?
Yeah, definitely. It is different from everyone's point of view, everyone's different cultures. It really just is, yeah, brought down from, our parents and our parents' parents. And I've really found, yeah, it's a lot of it is tradition, but it just maybe hasn't been tested as much either. That people can be happy without having that relationship. So there is that building of, okay, you're going to only be happy if you're married. So there's that pressure. It's that your parents want that happiness for you as they were happy in their marriage, even though there is such a big divorce rate. They still think this is the only way. This is the only way to be happy. Try again, get divorced again, get married again. You'll be happy then. Which we just need to test. We need to test that of maybe some more people are more happy being divorced. Maybe some people are being okay with being single. And I'm not saying you have to be single forever, but you just need to find happiness in yourself and in those moments first. And then you can be truly happy in any future relationship as well. So I think that's just kind of this passed down um, right of, okay, we need to be married, we need to have children. That's how we're going to grow our family name, that as well. So I think there's some kind of things of people want grandchildren, they want their family name. It's all that kind of self egotistical. Okay, this is my name getting passed along as I die. And if you're single, we're not going to have a family anymore, kind of thing. So there is that kind of passed down through the years as well. But yeah, there's just, it's going to be a very hard thing to fight because all different cultures have a kind of make or break, kind of as you were saying, of you just can't go back, it's always going to be looked down upon. It'll be a long time for change. In America, it definitely is so much better. But like you said, there's still a lot of pressures from families to get married, to spend $100,000 on a wedding because of that, of, oh, this is our families getting together and I want to show this, versus why don't we just get married and spend $100,000 on a house? It's really that portrayal of our name, of our ego, of what we want to give and show the world that we can do with our name.
Obviously, they are part of, you know, mating, like, population wise, some definitely, having not only the last name, but the population wise or children wise, right? So I completely understand. But I want to touch base with you about domestic violence portion of it. Because a lot of domestic violence happens in a relationship of love, not like, well, there are a lot of domestic violence happens within parent and child, but most, I would say, restraining orders, domestic violence, even murders, they happen within love relationship. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're single, you don't have domestic violence in that regard. What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's very true. And it is such a sad fact that a lot of relationships out there have such domestic violence and then choose to stay together and continue the domestic violence. And that is, I'm sure there's so many things going on, but a lot of that is that pressure of, you need to be in a relationship, you need to figure it out. If you can't figure it out with this person, how are you going to figure it out with anybody? So it does put that pressure of, you need to stay with them, or you need to figure out. I mean, and then being single, yeah, you don't have domestic violence at all, but you still have kind of that emotional narrative in your head where you're fighting with yourself of, am I doing the right thing? Do I need to be in a relationship? So I would say, if you're unsure if there's domestic violence in your relationship, uh, there's still going to be maybe some emotional violence with yourself when you're single. So either way, you just kind of need to figure out, you know, take your time, look inside, take those moments. At first, you're probably not going to like what you hear, but it's just one step at a time, and you'll start figuring it out.
It's very interesting that you mentioned about, avoiding the domestic violence, because my solution was like, if you are not in a relationship, those domestic violence would never happen. In fact, just a quick story. My friend Lovan Gordon runs this wonderful organization called Love Life Now Foundation. She's a survivor of two times domestic violence situations, and she has a book out, Legacy, that he left me. She came to my podcast as well. But the whole point is, like, for instance, recognizing red flags, and how would you not leave, like you said, the pressure, right? So you have to be with somebody even if they're assholes, and if they are like beating you up or stealing money coercively, like controlling you. Because of the pressure, you have to stay married, you have to stay married for your children, you have to have a partner, and then you're less than if you don't. And those are voices that I understand that happens. But it's very interesting that you said, even if you're single, you can beat yourself up, that okay, this is not okay, this is like, I need to do something about it, like, pressure and the fear that you are judged, or maybe like, I don't know, like mental health, like just beating yourself up, like, I completely understand self-destroying part of it. Because, Michael, just to share a little bit of insight, I was sexually violated since child, and I modeled act, and then when I was younger, I'm sure I looked much like more model, like beautiful, but I never thought I was beautiful. And I felt like I lost a lot of youth thinking about beating myself down without a partner already. And the self-esteem part of it is just completely zero to trash. So I understand about that self-talk. Can you tell us about what it's like in you, like for you, like at the beginning, like when you're single? You mentioned a little bit, but what are the thoughts got that goes in your head?
Yeah, I would say pretty much I figured out that when you first become single, a lot of us rush to kind of fill the space of, okay, maybe I need to get back on the dating apps, or maybe I need to, make myself do this or go out, or, find something to really fill that time, that energy. My advice and kind of what I learned is I started learning more about myself when I slowed down and really took that time, opened that space, whether it's 10 minutes at a coffee shop, not on your phone, not anything, just really sitting there and thinking about what you want out of your life, what passions you desire, what this new kind of venture of being single could do for you. Um, so kind of what I aspired to do is just start doing daily tasks, doing daily routines that really found who I am and my peace. And I think that's kind of where it starts, is don't rush to fill the space. Slowly start getting into your own. And I know I was very scared when I slowed down of what I would find. I think that's one of the biggest pressures of like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to look too deeply in myself. I don't want to meditate too deeply on my wants and my needs and what I want out of this life, because I'm scared of what I'm going to find or not find. But doing that inner work really is how you grow and how you find that confidence.
Yes. So we'll revisit all these tools later, but I just want to little bit touch base of the comments that you're getting from people on Instagram across the globe. What are the concerns? What are the things that they people struggle? You say you would share, you can share that you learned that you said some people maybe like elaborate, like you know, what happened. What do you think it is? What's going on?
Yeah, a lot of the feedback is kind of what I mentioned of it's just that quick transition of they just got out of a relationship, they just got divorced, they just became alone in their house, whether their kids just moved out or something traumatic just happened where they're not around their normal circles. And they're just like, it's day one of being single and alone, and they're reaching out, what do I do? You really trying to find that perfect fix is kind of not the right way. You really do have to take your time and do that inner work. And then there's kind of that also that scare of how lonely am I going to be? I get a lot of that of, oh, I'm scared about being lonely or I'm scared about loneliness. All these things you're unsure of what will come and what mental health will come out of that and how you will feel day to day and will you be happy. So again, I don't think there's that perfect fix to loneliness. It is about that confidence that you're building in yourself, finding the things that you care about, finding your passions, filling your life, and not being scared about whether you're behind or whether, you're not doing something right. Just really look inward.
Sure. And I, in fact, know from different culture that at a certain age, so for instance, right, like in Japan, like, you know, my piano teacher used to say, oh, I don't want to be left over Christmas cake, which means I don't want to be single after age 25, which is like super young. But I still remember her saying that during the piano lesson. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I was a little girl, and then that kind of instilled the pressure that she was feeling. And I still remember the comment about the Christmas cake. Every Christmas, I think about it. And yeah, leftover Christmas cake. That's what she said. But again, like the age is just a number. However, like at the certain age that you are expected to have children, or maybe like you know have house or have this American dreams, and then you know it's so unrealistic. But I would say like advertisement, commercial, like Hollywood, I don't know what it is, but somehow growing up, these messages from media or somehow passed down to in our brain, and then we tend to compare that perfect American dream, home, kids, dogs, pool, I don't know,
Hmm.
vacation. And then if you don't have those elements that they think to thrive, and trust me, I do Uber and Lyft, and then like I hear a lot of stories. Not everyone has that perfect life. And even though if you have that perfect life, some people may be already like destroyed or getting divorced or you know what I mean? Or maybe suicide. I don't know. It's just like so much of it is information that we are kind of brainwashed. And I didn't realize that I was absolutely brainwashed from our culture in Japan. I'm talking about why was I like beating myself up of self-worth because I'm single and because I don't have this lifestyle. What do you think?
Yeah, there definitely is that thing of comparison, right? Of, yeah, you can see everyone else's life on Instagram, on TikTok, on the internet, all those ads from other things of, yeah, that perfect life. And you really do start comparing yourself of, even if it's just a good friend of yours. Like I have a good friend who's married and has kids, and he supposedly has this perfect life that I don't have. So there's that comparison of people close to you or people that you know. Um, but really, you just really need to start running your own race. You know, you're right on time. I always say you're right where you need to be, and maybe kind of that path isn't meant for you for happiness. That this path of life of being where you are, no matter what age you are, could lead to the next form of happiness. And comparison is you don't know their story. They could be perfectly happy with their dog, kids, and their white picket fence house, or they could be miserable, and you could be happy in your small little studio apartment, cooking your meals and watching your favorite shows. That could be a different type of happiness. So that comparison is definitely the hardest thing to get past. But I would just say, uh, life is happening for you, not to you, and that you're just right on time where you need to be.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. Let's actually dive into the second question, which is the tools that you use to overcome. And you shared a lot of it already, but I just want to tell you this is my favorite part of the podcast so far, that a lot of people who went through the challenges and adversities, that it's not like, hey, go get therapist. It's not like, hey, read this book. This is really coming from my guests across the globe, how they use different tools, tangible things, to overcome these challenges and adversities. So, Michael, what would you say some of the tools that actually worked for your challenges?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest tool was just trying to get past that pressure and change that narrative. So that first big idea of, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. What can I do to explore this time in my life, um, and really feel confident in myself? So I started doing little things, choosing myself literally every day of what routines best fit my life, what things do I want out of my life. So taking 10 minutes every morning to say what's something I can do for me today, whether it was a new skill, was a new passion, um, pretty much just a big thing on personal growth. So I started putting out content. That was a new thing for me. That was very exciting, and that really filled this void of uncertainty in my life of, oh, this is fun, this is exciting, this is something new I can do. And you start building that confidence. And then the more and more you kind of look inward of, okay, I can do this. What else can I do? Maybe I can go to that new restaurant that I've been wanting to go to, and I can go alone, or maybe I can take a trip that I'm very scared to go on this 24-hour plane ride to a whole new country by myself. But if you do that, you just experience so much more. So it was really these small tasks of maybe things I've always wanted to do that I was scared to do, and I just put it on a list of, okay, I'm going to take myself out to dinner, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to find a new skill, and I'm going to put my life like wholeheartedly into it. So I guess biggest tools were taking the time away from worrying of what I was doing wrong and put all that time and energy into just trying things, see what worked for me, what failed, what didn't, what made me happier, what didn't make me happy. Just kind of going out and literally exploring.
Yes, and then I see your Instagram post. Sometimes the captions, they taking myself to a date, or like, those are like, some of the contents that you create. Like, why would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, that I guess in America it's not that big of a deal as much anymore, but there is that scary part of going out to a dinner alone. If it's, whether it's a fancy place and maybe not just a casual bar, even a bar is scary as well too, but you think other people are looking at you, or oh, this person can't even find someone to go out to eat with. But really everyone's kind of in their own world, and if you're confident about it and you ask for the best table in the restaurant by yourself, and you get that dessert, and eat it by yourself without any care in the world, there's this thing that kind of comes over you of, I can do anything I want. I don't need anyone else's permission. I don't care what other people are thinking about me. If anything, people are probably thinking about, wow, that looks great. He has that whole dessert to himself. So one of the things I love the most is do that. Take yourself out on that date. Take yourself out on that experience that you've been waiting for.
I love that. And to be honest with you, I went on this date and then he was on the phone all the time texting somebody. And then like, what is the point of us going out for like a date or dinner together if you're talking to somebody else? Like, where am I? Like, no, why am I wasting my time?
Exactly, exactly.
It is so interesting that you say about going to the restaurant, and I'm pretty busy, and then usually just go in and out or like just eat by myself, and then I I'm either on my phone or talking to somebody, and I never like felt that kind of pressure that somebody's watching me because I'm in my own la la land, and then like just trying to get the tasks done for myself. It's just weird. I don't know when that it happened to me, but it just like the independency in being a single mom for a very long time and being single. And then I think doing athletic things like since September last year, I studied karate and then beach tennis, volleyball. I'm actually going to volleyball and karate tonight. And that was like investing yourself. Like you said, like, no, what can I do? Where can I go? Like, no time, even like a little thing. Okay, I'm going to get myself an ice cream. That's a
Mhm.
huge win for me. And as a single mom, okay, I have done enough and just one moment in a day I'll just get ice cream for myself. Nobody's gonna care, but that makes me happy, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's so important, like you said. And then investing time, I really love how you say about utilizing the time, except instead of like thinking like what am I doing wrong, like, no, what should I do to change or to find a partner. That is like really crazy. And then these days, like, ghosting, these young generations that you go on a date and then, do some activities, but the next day they're just gonna ghost you and then just move on to another people, and you just feel kind of worthless mm,
Yeah.
once you're doing that. But then like I feel dating apps obviously did a lot for those distractions, and then not
Mhm.
traditional like, no, hey, be patient with each other and then be in a relationship as well, but at the same time enjoy single life. So it's a lot happened with the internet and then the social media as well. But what do you say that your favorite activities so far that you highly recommend for people out there who's like trying to figure out and then being okay and seeing that you try maybe a restaurant, maybe some new adventures that you went to that you recommend to people?
Yeah, one of my big things that I really enjoy is just a long walk, and I'll listen to like a podcast. I noticed that just kind of opens up my mind, gives me a great mindset, and then usually after that, I'll try to take myself to. I either have a list of new restaurants I want to try, or I have favorite restaurants that I just continually go to as well. So it kind of depends on my mood of do I want to go to that classic place where I know I'm gonna love, their salad and their entree and their drinks, or do I want to try something new and be, a little adventurous? So it kind of depends on my mood, but I always like to go for a long walk, listen to a good, book or podcast or favorite music that really puts me in a great mindset. Think about my day and my future and what I'm trying to get out of this life, and kind of celebrate it. Take myself out, get that extra dessert, get that extra piece of bread, whatever you can do. And I don't know, you just get in the spirit of dressing up and supporting yourself and building this relationship of what it's like to be with yourself. And yeah, you don't get ghosted.
Very, very true. So, how are you feeling these days of applying all these tools that you discovered?
Yeah, I mean, there's still days of, you know, feeling unsure, lonely, but more and more it's full of confidence. Really found this kind of partnership with myself and this ability to feel like, okay, if I put my focus, my time and energy in the right places, instead of worrying about other things that I maybe can't even control, it's really just kind of doubled down on my life's goals and progress and where it's going.
I like that a lot. Like you said, double down. I really like that analysis. Well, Michael, thank you very much. And my last question that I have is, what's the gift that came from it? So, what would you say to our audience? What is the biggest gift that came from it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, the gift from all of it would be this amazing self partnership, I call it. I learned how to be emotionally steady on my own, learned how to enjoy my own company, and how to make decisions without being fear of being like left behind or that I wasn't on time. So really just a gift of not having fear, no confidence, and clarity, honestly, and how I can feel connected and grounded with myself. It's just been such a joy and such a journey of like this self-love that, I'm so excited that I'm the person of who I am today.
That is really wonderful. And I think we can learn so much from you. And I feel that why didn't the school teach us when you were in the middle school or high school of this self-care and self-love and don't compare. You're okay. This self-affirmation, I think we lack because of the competition, because of pressures in all the children. If we had those teaching from the beginning, from the get-go, that it's okay to be independent and it's okay to be powerful and then love yourself and go anywhere you want to go on your own, make decision, and then you don't need a partner to influence your happiness. And I think that's really important message.
I love that. So important.
Well, thank you again, Michael, for coming to A Gift from Adversity today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation. I'm glad we went through it all and it was wonderful.
Great. And for people who are listening, we have wonderful episodes in the past. So please check out A Gift from Adversity on the Spotify and then YouTube as well. Thank you again and have a great day.
Bye.